Hi everyone, my name is Kara Smith and I am the author of this Digital Humanities project titled Reading Books and Looks, How Literacy Functions in Jane Eyre. So I hope you were able to peruse my website a little bit before you watched this video, but if not, this is what it looks like. Here's the home page, and I'm going to end up posting this video on the About page right here, so that's where you can find this. The reason I decided to make this video was to give you some background information about who I am, why I decided to make this project, what the inspiration was behind it, and some of the process along the way of decision making and the actual procedure and data collection. So a little bit about me. I am currently a senior, double majoring in English and Psychology at Michigan State University with a minor in Digital Humanities. And this project is for my Intro to Digital Humanities course. So because of the nature of the project that our instructor assigned us, it was very open-ended, so I could include things that I was really interested in, and I reached across all the different disciplines that I'm studying to kind of make this one really unique to my personal interests. And it was a lot of fun because I did it that way. So along the way, when I first started brainstorming for this project, I was thinking more about using 3 different digital humanities tools that we had learned over the semester. That was mapping, network analysis, and textual analysis, and kind of throwing it at Jane Eyre because that's one of my favorite books and something that I'm going to be working on for the rest of my senior year. So I was like, I wonder what digital humanities tools have to offer, what it can show me about this book that I love so much. And after doing a little bit of research, I stumbled upon an article by Mary Armstrong called Reading Ahead, Jane Eyre, Phrenology, and Homoerotics of Legibility. It was super fascinating, and one of the arguments that she makes at the beginning of this article is talking about how Jane finds pleasure in reading, and not just reading legible surfaces like texts, like actual books and everything, or letters or stuff like that, but actually including images because she's an artist, and including faces, where she's reading someone's expression or reading their eyes or reading heads. If you're aware of the study of phrenology and physiognomy, that's something that this article talked about a little bit. But that's something that I really wanted to explore a little bit more, so it kind of redirected my focus a little for this project to look at the 3 scientific disciplines only through a textual analysis lens of Jane Eyre. So the question I ended up landing on was, how do words relating to literacy in this book, such as read, reading, and physiognomy, function over the course of Jane Eyre? And can this information nuance the conclusions that it would have otherwise been able to gain by using the traditional close reading methods that English majors are trained to do? So I ended up using these 3 scientific disciplines, theory of mind, phrenology, and physiognomy, to kind of guide my analysis. And if you want more information about those, I've included a lot of it on the home page down here with a lot of background information for you as well. So I'm going to jump right into how I went about collecting my data. If you have never heard of Project Gutenberg, and you're an English major, you definitely want to look it up. But essentially what Project Gutenberg is an online collection of novels, entire novels that are in HTML format and accessible that way. And there's a limitation on it where it's only the ones published before the copyright was invented. But lucky for me, Jane Eyre falls under that, so I have a free version online that I was able to copy and paste and plug into Voyant, which is my textual analysis tool. So, if you've never used Voyant, there are many tools here, and you could probably look up different tutorials or just go log in and play around with it. They have sample data sets for you. So I plugged in just one book. I plugged in Jane Eyre, and I looked up over here in the Trends tool, read, reading, and physiognomy, to kind of see how are their frequencies varying over the course of the book. And what can that information tell me? Because at first when I looked at it, I had no idea what it was really showing me or what it was telling me. But once I sat down and really started analyzing and thinking contextually about the book, and next to information that I got down here in the context tool, so I can show you the things behind my head. If I can move that, that's cool. This tool down here, that ended up being incredibly useful. So something that Voyant lets you do is you can search for words that you were interested in, and I ended up doing read. I did not specifically do the read with the abstract because the abstract pulls in all of them, all of the instances of read, so it would have pulled in ready, readiness, and those are things that I was really not interested in. They were not related to the theme that I was looking at all. So that one I did not do the asterisk for, but reading I did, so I would pull in the plural version, and then I'll just do that for now. So it shows you the context of that word as it appears in the novel, and you can include more words on either side if that's what you prefer. And so what I ended up doing is changing that, going into the export option, and exporting it as tab-separated values. And if you do that, it gives you this, and you can copy and paste all of it right into a Excel spreadsheet. So that's what I did, and I developed my own database that looks like this. Move my head back down here. So this over here, columns A, B, and C, are what I pulled from Voyant, and that's what kind of how it pasted, minus the color coding that was all new later for my own visual purposes. So what I ended up adding to my database was this. The first thing I did was going over and adding the object of literate attention, is what I called it, and that was basically going through and reading every single excerpt. And kind of, I looked those up in Project Gutenberg so I could get the full excerpt of what is going on at this part in the book, and is the reading that's happening in reference to, are they reading a text, are they reading a face, or are they reading something else in the other category. So I have all of that in here. So the other example is there, and this database is available on my website, so if you would like to get some further, dig around it a little bit, feel free to do so. And then I ended up taking notes along the way, so I included things like religious implications, where if someone's reading a religious text, because that was one of the things I was originally thinking about studying. So I was still a little bit curious to see how often are they incorporating religion, and how is that related to literacy, because I feel like at the time that could have been, you know, a very close relationship where you're reading prayers, you're reading the Bible, or things like that. So I took notes on it. It ended up being not that relevant, but the information's there if I wanted to do something with it in the future. The next thing that I did was identify the page number, and this was probably the part of my project that took me the most time and was the most tedious, because I went through my hard copy version of Jane Eyre to identify the page numbers, because one thing that Project Gutenberg for this version of the novel does not provide the page numbers. So what I ended up doing is using the word search in Project Gutenberg, and it would tell me what chapter it was in and kind of the surrounding context that I've read this enough times, and you can see my little sticky notes. So it didn't take me too long to sift through here and go through the entire book to find all of these instances, but it did take a good chunk of time. So I did that, and then I calculated you can see my formula up here. I put in the calculation, oops, now I'm messing things up. There. So I put in a calculation there to calculate what the percentage of the book is based out of the entire book as a whole. And whereas, you know, kind of chunking it up exactly how Voyant had it. And then I put this into group percents, because that's how I wanted to see it, and not as a 1% or a 6% or as a, you know, 30% or 13 or whatever. I wanted to see them in 10% of the novel chunks. So there'd be 10 chunks total. to kind of keep it consistent with Voyant and keep my visualizations being able to be reflective of each other. So that's what I did, and then I went and built my visualizations, which you have probably seen on my website. I went in and built things like this, which was really an interesting experience, and something, one of the decisions that I consciously made in designing these was choosing to make the lines different colors and different, like some are dotted, some are bold lines, so different visually, shape-wise. So I did that for accessibility purposes, so if someone were to be colorblind, they could still know which line is doing what and in reference to what. And something else in line of accessibility that I did is all of these images have alt text behind them. So if someone were using a screen reader, they would be able to know what that image is supposed to be showing. I decided to publish all of this information on a website, in a website format, for a couple reasons. So one, it seemed like a good way to reach a wider audience, and I would really love some feedback. So if you go over to the contact, and if you have any good ideas, feel free to scroll down here and send me an email, because I'm definitely interested in further pursuing this research, or engaging in a conversation with anybody that's interested. So putting it on a website was a great way to kind of build that, or get it out there, get it out to the public, and see if anybody is interested. The second reason I chose to do a website was because I was really hoping to use embedded interactive snippets from Voyant, which is something that I've seen done on other kinds of websites, but that didn't end up working out on this one. It would just copy over as a link. So I put in images instead, and you're getting this video to kind of show you the interactive portion of it. The third reason I chose a website is because I've never used WordPress before, so it was also a learning experience for me along the way of figuring out how I can build my own website and how I can get it to look the way I want it to look. So it was kind of multiple reasons why I landed on this form of presentation. I also decided to make my data available online. Right here, there's a link to Project Gutenberg, and there's a link to download my data spreadsheet. And this doesn't look quite complete yet because the video that you see here is not yet posted. But yeah, that's why I did it. So hopefully if anybody can access this data sheet and wants to build on my project, that's something that they're able to do. Or if they have any questions, to leave comments in my contact section. So thanks for watching. Enjoy my website.